G'day, it is Bowie Jane with Jess Bowie for Babes Behind the Beats. And today on the show we have superstar winner of Big Brother, Mr. Jag Bains himself. Welcome to Babes Behind the Beats.
Let's go. You are, you made history on Big Brother as being the first sick winner of Big Brother of all 25. And you're now making also history on Babes Behind the Beats, being the first male that we have had on our show.
That's right.
It's an honor. Making history once again is absolutely incredible. I'm so happy to be here, though. So happy.
Oh my God. Thank you for being here. This is so great. Again, congrats on the big win.
Thank you.
If it wasn't Bowie, I wanted it to be you. So I couldn't be happier.
Shout out. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So, I kind of want to jump into it because I was telling Bowie earlier, I've never watched Big Brother in my life. It was never something like I knew what it was kind of, but I'd never seen any of it. And I really became obsessed because obviously my friends on the show, you kind of start watching. And I'll say it maybe took me 1 or 2 episodes. But once I finally found out like what it entailed, all the competition, all the strategy and gameplay, I was obsessed with it. So was this something that you grew up watching and like loving and knowing that you wanted to be on it sometime or like?
So yes and no. I didn't grow up watching it. I know there's some people that have seen every single season and live feeds of every moment. I started in high school. So I started with season 16 and started watching with my family and friends.
Oh, wow.
Because somebody like just recommended the show to me.
Okay.
And I fell in love with it. I thought it was just so amazing. Like all the strategy, the gameplay, the competitions, and like rallying behind who your favorite house guest is. And then after that, I knew that I would love to be on it, but it was sort of like pie in the sky dream. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm never actually going to be on it, but I would love to one day. And so it's cool looking back at it now, looking back at like younger me and be like, man, he would be so proud.
And
of,
you
like, you know
won.
what I mean?
Yes. Not only were you on it, you won.
Yeah.
Also, after having been, and for people who have watched the show, if you're listening to this, like I thought it was so epic, especially because you had technically been evicted and then you ended up winning. Like you were someone who was on the block, got voted out, and then here you are at the very end winning the entire thing. Like that's
crazy.
That's like to me like a whole other level of like epicness of winning this game.
And I guess that was the first time someone's gotten evicted and then
come back.
And won.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know about any of these things. Like I was just like trying to fight for my life. You know, like I got evicted, Matt saved me. And I was just like fighting for my life after that.
Wow.
So for those who don't know, the twist was he got evicted. Everyone voted him out, but Matt had this special power that he could basically bring him back if he guessed it right. So, and no one knew that who had used the power. They all thought he used the power on himself.
Yes.
But actually, no, it was Matt. And the whole house knew about this halfway through the game. But
you guys did know. So you guys ended up talking about it because Matt had originally told Jared, and Jared told Sari, of course, because you guys did not know the whole twist until the very end, right?
It all makes sense now.
Right. So, but then the house guests, you guys all did talk about this at some point during the season?
So at some point, Matt started telling people as like a way to build trust with them. And it was a good tool, especially like, I know he told you as well, and he was saying like, hey, by the way, I used it on Jag. And I think that's a good sign for some folks is they're like, wow, you're really loyal.
Yeah,
you know, like
to me, I was like, he's loyal. I want to work with him then.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and other people were like, wow, like you and Jag are locked in then. Like, you know, like, so people reacted differently.
Yeah.
And also, eventually, later on, we evicted Jared as well. And then he was in the house as a zombie and he was trying his best to blow up everyone's game.
Right.
And part of that was blowing up Matt's game and telling everyone that like, hey, did you know he used the power? And that was everyone's little tactic when they were about to get evicted is like,
you're trying to find any way to hold on.
This big secret, Matt used the power on Jag, and everyone was like, yeah, we
all knew.
And
even when Matt told me, Cameron had already told me. So I was like, oh, wow, you're kidding. Oh, well, I think that's very good. And I was like, I already knew this.
Oh, my God. Okay. I don't think I knew that you all already knew at that point.
Yeah, maybe they didn't show that.
I wonder. Or maybe like the live feeds were cut.
Very few secrets in the house. Everybody talks.
Everybody talks.
That's why it's so important to like find the few people that you're locked in with.
Yeah.
You know, you share something with them and then it doesn't come back to you within a few hours. You're like, okay, wait, I might actually want to work with them, you know?
Yeah. Because then you can talk proper strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess that brings me into talking about the strategy for you because you are such a strong competitor. You are so athletic. You are so like the physical and also mentally. I'm like, you very clearly were one of the strongest players from the beginning. Did you want to go in already like starting to win things, or were you kind of like, maybe I should throw a few things here, like, or there, or were you kind of like, no, I'm just gonna do what I do, like win things if I win, or if I don't, whatever, like?
Well, I mean, the strategy was never to like put a huge target on my back, right? Like once you start winning things right off the bat, especially at the very beginning of the season, there's not that many people that have won anything yet, just because there's only been like a few competitions. So I didn't want to put a target on my back in that sense, but also the other side of the coin is like, I want to step up for my alliance and protect them. And so that was sort of what I was like balancing between. And there was one point where the first competition I won, which was the Cockadoodle Zoom competition, I'm like going through the sludge and going against everyone. And I was on the block and I take myself off. But I guess the gap between me and the next closest person was like a few eggs, you know what I mean? At least 3 or 4 eggs.
Yeah.
And so some people started seeing me as a threat immediately after that. And that's when I realized like, I remember being like, wow, I'm stoked that I just won my first veto. And also, I don't think I should have won this one, maybe. You know, like, I don't know.
The problem is, though, you had to win because you were I knew you were going home, right?
Yes.
I don't know if you knew that, but if you hadn't, you were staying on the block and going home as far as my alliance was cool.
I think that was the week that Heisem was going to get backdoored.
Wait,
and he never.
Because who were you up on the block with again?
I was up on the block next to Cameron.
You were up against Cameron.
And Heisem
and they were going to backdoor Heisem.
Get backdoored. So that was, and he didn't play. So I didn't need to win. Like Cam could have won or someone else could have won. And the plan would have been the same. But I was going to take that risk.
Because even the Heisem thing, they were back and forth about. So
exactly.
Like,
So I was like, well, I know that if I sit on the block next to Cam, they're going to vote me out. So
damn. So you just went for it, which I could. Yeah, I mean, you really won that one by like a mile. I remember that.
Yeah, there's no reason for me to go that hard.
There's like, no reason for me to go that hard.
And this is the problem. Like once you get in a pickle like that, and you're on the block, you have to try hard. You show your true colors. You start winning. You then have to win all the time.
Yeah.
Because once you touch the block, it's so easy for you to just end up on the block every single week. You end up being a perpetual pawn.
Yeah.
And so once I touched
Felicia.
the block, Felicia, and Cam was in that position for a little bit.
True.
I was in that position for a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, being on the block, and now suddenly people are starting to see me as a target. That means now my status has shifted from being a perpetual pawn to the perpetual target.
Exactly.
And I was like, that is scary.
Yeah.
So that was definitely.
Why do you think you were going up why do you think you were even up that week?
I feel like there are a lot of layers behind it. One, there's the Jared and Sari twist. Jared was part of my alliance on one side of the house. Sari was on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was pretty vocal about who I thought was leading the alliance on the other side.
And who were you saying?
Said to Jared was Sari.
Right, I do remember
so,
that.
You know, here I am telling Jared, Sari's son, like, oh, hey, yo, there's one person who has their hands in everyone's pockets, and you know who it is. It's Sari.
Yeah. And this is when he decided to go and tell everyone, like, we need to get Jag out.
And so suddenly everyone on the other side wants me out, and I didn't understand. And even within my own alliance, like, Jared wants me out, and I don't understand why. And so there's, like, all of this friction that's caused because I don't know that they're related.
Yeah.
So that adds one layer, and also I fought so hard for Riley to stay. Which
that's right.
People felt some type of way, but at that time, like, I was locked in with Riley, and I really wanted to protect her, and I told her, like,
also
I'm gonna step up.
You really did think you had the votes, like, and you thought Riley had the votes at one point, right?
Yeah.
And so that was what he got criticized for, was telling people they had the votes, but that's because the alliances were all
the alliances were telling you that,
yeah.
right? Yeah. Which is frustrating. We were just talking about that, how it's like, I know that that's the game. Like, you got to lie to people, but I don't know how I would handle that. Like, it's so hard for me to like actually lie through my teeth to people.
Oh, like it's literally making shit up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like Bowie and I actually talked about this at one point, like earlier on in the season, where we're like, we're really trusting of people. I was like, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, if we have a great conversation, typically, like, I want to just be like, wow, that was awesome. Like, I would love to work with you, and you seem really genuine. But behind the scenes, what's actually happening is, like, people aren't they're playing the game really hard and they want you out. And so it was like adjusting that part of my mindset where I'm like, okay, cool, this is a game. It's not just like personal is personal and game is game. So I had to separate that out. And I made that distinction pretty early on in the game.
Yeah.
Where I could still have my personal friendships and relationships with folks. And then when it was time for the game, it's not personal. You're just targeting me, or you're.
I mean,
just
you have to. You have to literally separate.
I mean, you
both of
do,
them.
but I couldn't separate them. I took everything personal. Thank you very much.
We would talk about. I was like, it's just game, and you're like, yeah, but also,
but
it's mean. It's mean.
That's just good old Bowie. You know, she's got that heart of gold, and it's sorry. I mean, you know, it worked out for you guys, though. I'm saying, like,
that's it.
Like having that integrity and just kind of sticking to who you are as people, like, really worked out for you and like your beliefs.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't think what people realize is with Matt, Jag, and I, and they already obviously had the Minutemen, the Matt and Jag thing earlier, but we could tell each other things, and we knew it didn't get around the house because we never heard it back.
Right.
And we were talking hardcore strategy, and I don't know if they showed it, but like, let's do this, let's make this move, and then next week we'll do this. It never came back. So we're like, mate, we can go all the way with this.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing that I got scared about, and I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you've talked to Matt about this, is at one point, Matt was kind of kept going back to Sari. Matt was like Sari's little guy. And I was just like, no.
So bad.
Yeah. So like once she got out, then I was like, thank God, because I knew that was going to blow up. Like you guys had something so good.
Yeah.
But Matt was still like, you know, and Sari had such a
stuff
soft spot for him. Like they had this, they did, like, especially on camera, had this relationship that looked so great. But then it was also like, but like, stop giving all the info back to her. So at one point it really was until he finally was like, no, I got to pick. It felt like he was really going and kind of feeding her this information. And that was kind of frustrating to watch.
I mean, I definitely knew that was going on. And Matt and I were working with Sari like earlier in the game too.
Yeah.
And I knew that they
As
were
was I on another alliance.
As was everybody
Everyone
else.
did, yeah.
But I knew they were really close because there would be times where like me, Matt, Sari would be talking, and then suddenly Sari or Matt would be like, all right, cool. Do you mind if we talk one-on-one? And my thoughts were like, well, what could you two possibly be talking about that I can't be here for?
Right.
So that's like my first indicator.
Yeah.
And then as we go later on in the game, and that's when like Bowie and I start working together more too. And I'm like, dude, I really trust Bowie. Like, she's really loyal. And even during the times where I got voted out and she voted against me, she told me she was going to do that.
Because I was on another alliance. I was like, mate, I'm on the other side. So we're thinking there were two sides.
Right.
I'm voting you out, just letting you know. I was the only person that told him.
Other people would just like be like, oh no, I got you. And like, I'll fight hard for you.
And it was 10-0.
And like, meanwhile, they weren't fighting for me as hard, you know, or like they didn't vote for me. But Bowie would just be like, hey, by the way, just going to be honest, I'm going to vote you out. And I was like, thank you, Bowie. Like I appreciate that.
That
like,
creates
that's
the
awesome.
trust, like being like that honest with someone. So then when you stay in the house, you're like, wait, that is someone who I trust. They literally told me they were voting me out.
Which is almost like this backwards, like, okay, does that make, but like for me, it made so much sense. And even later on in the season, I knew that Matt and Sari were still really close. And so it was a lot of conversations I was having with Matt, which is like, look, I know you're tight with Sari, but Bowie is locked in. Like, Bowie is super loyal and she's not going to do any, you know what I mean? I was like, and Sari will.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Had you known, because I know that Sari was known as like being like the survivor legend, but did you also know that she was on that Traitors game? Like, did anyone know that?
We did find out.
We found out
in
later
the house
on,
or
Corey told us.
In the house.
Yeah.
In the house. We found out later on in the house, and all that did, I mean, I don't really.
It was good.
To be clear, like, it doesn't matter to me that she was on Survivor or Traitors. Like, it doesn't matter. We're playing Big Brother, so I don't care what shows anyone has been on or what they've done beforehand. All that matters is what you're doing during our time in the Big Brother house, right?
Right.
But the timing in which, like, when I found out that she was on Traitors, I just used that as a way when I was chatting with Matt to be like, hey, by the way, also she was on Traitors. Isn't that suspicious?
Won.
Manipulating
and
people. Isn't that and she won. Whoa, don't you think she's lying? You know what I mean? Like, use every piece of information to convince him, like, dog, we need to get her out.
Exactly.
In a way that it doesn't turn him against me and Bowie.
Yeah, it was a selling
in a way
point.
that's like, hey, we need to get her out because she's throwing competitions and she's going to turn it up and she's going to get us out. And by the way, she's going to put me up. And Matt, if she puts me up, she's going to put you up next to me and you're not going to be the target, but I might win the veto.
Exactly.
And then suddenly, who's going home? And he was like, oh boy.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's true. I get what you're saying about it doesn't matter what shows she was on. I think for me, it was just because I've never watched Traitors, but I obviously knew what the concept was. You can decide from the name itself. And so that's why I was like, oh my God, like this is also like, it just felt like so many different unfair advantages that she had over people, like already having done so many seasons of Survivor, already being a winner of Traitors.
Unfair, but once we found out about that, it was actually disadvantage again.
I guess
like
because
traitors.
she would be someone who people would then target, and she actually did make it pretty far. That's true, actually. No, that's a good point.
So I was like, cool, we can use that.
Yeah.
And we did. Well, and I was like, you go. We chatted a lot about this. Like, we chatted extensively about how Cerise is going to be the problem. She's too close to Matt. Every bit of information is going back. Go work your wonders.
She wasn't. The thing is, she wasn't winning the physical comps, so she needed to have. She wasn't winning any comps, but she specifically, I feel like she needed the people. That's why I think she was trying to keep Matt close, like someone who like was going to win these physical comps that she could trust. But again, she needed to be out, which you guys ended up. I feel like the way it all panned out was like so perfect to get down to the final, top 5 basically.
So perfect.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you a question because I just found something out earlier. Okay, so cockadoodle zoom, you wore that for a little while.
Yeah.
You did the pressure cooker wearing it. So what did you have to do if you had to go to the bathroom or
Bowie, your true colors are shown.
Bowie.
Cam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I said it back, didn't I?
That's you did, yeah.
Oh my God.
You don't have to talk about it if you don't want. If it's too,
I didn't give much away because I wasn't sure what we were allowed to talk about.
I don't know if I want to say this.
Okay.
I think everyone worked it out online anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, there I was in the pressure cooker, and you're in there for a long time.
You were there for what, 10 plus hours?
I was there for
like,
right under 13 hours.
Right under 13 for you, yeah.
And you just hold, for anyone who doesn't know this competition, you're just holding a button. And if you're
standing for the whole time.
And standing, and it's freezing cold, it's pitch black. They didn't warn us we were going in, no food. They went like, oh, go eat, go to the toilet, nothing. Don't wear warm clothes, nothing. Okay.
Yeah. So there you are. And they didn't let you know anything beforehand. Like they weren't like, use the restroom, do anything else. And we're like, okay, cool. And there we are just holding this button for so long. And obviously sometimes people need to go to the bathroom and go pee or whatever.
Assumed. Yeah.
And then you
lose.
You figure that out.
Yeah. If you let go of the button.
That's what I'll say about that.
You just have to figure it out. Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It was funny.
I would not. That's one of those competitions that I know for a fact if I ever went in, I'd be like, I'm just like, I'll try for a little bit, but I'd be like, the second I got to go to the bathroom, done. Sorry, couldn't do it.
Oh yeah. I mean, what about? Did they show Jared with that? Probably not.
Jared, he slipped early on. He like went down.
He was the first one.
He also
literally
needed to go to the toilet.
Is that what happened?
Why? He
No,
held on for
that
like
is not
17
why.
seconds.
Yeah,
I was gonna say his was like so fast, and I remember him get it, and I was just like, that seemed weird. But he
Yeah.
literally like it's because he like went down a little bit, and then it just slipped or something, and I was like,
and
this
both
seems-
him and Serene, now we find out they're related. Like they obviously threw it for sure, but
yeah. Well,
and then Izzy, far out.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like things make a lot more sense now knowing
yeah.
all the alliances and all of everything that was going on. But at the time, it was like, oh no, like Jared.
Yeah.
I'm so sad that you let go because he was part of my alliance. Still.
Totally.
So I was like, oh my gosh, no. And then Sari and Izzy, I was like, no.
And
Yeah.
they were in my alliance too,
Because now
though.
Right.
they were in my alliance too. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we had the 7 Deadly Sins alliance.
I remember.
Like,
Yep, that's the one. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh
And
no.
I was
they're
like,
all-
oh no.
Yeah. Like,
About the same people.
So.
And we're in different alliances,
Yeah.
guys.
Yep, yep. I had some questions that I had asked Bowie earlier that I'm curious about for you as well. So you're in this house, obviously, for again, like 4 months. You have no contact with, you have no paper, you have no pen, you have no phone, you have no television, no music. Can't even hum or whistle. Like, what was the thing you missed the most that you didn't have access to?
So outside of like my family and friends, because I feel like that's an easy cop
Right,
out, and
of
I
course.
talk about them all the time. I would say it was probably music.
Yeah.
Because you can't listen to music, you can't sing, you can't hum, you can't whistle. And I love music. Like I'll just sing randomly throughout the day or like listen to music all the time. So that was one part of it that I didn't expect to be difficult, but that definitely was something that I was like, I just want to listen to songs.
I cannot imagine not having access to me. Like what it's when things get taken, like you don't appreciate it till you don't have it as much. You know what I mean? And you're just like, oh my God, I take for granted just being able to sometimes be like, oh, I want to listen to this song, or even just putting the radio on and having the
just even like working out without music.
Oh my God,
is that weird?
That was brutal.
I was gonna ask about
laying alone there in your thoughts and no music. And music also, like for me, is like sometimes an act of self-care. You know what I mean? Like it's just a way to like tune out and you're just listening to music and you just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Recharge.
Yeah.
And like you didn't have that. The only time you did have music though is if you won the HOH.
That's
and they
right.
gave you like one album of your choice.
So you just picked. Yeah. So how did that work? You would tell them what you wanted, or was this something that you had to tell them beforehand, or do they ask you when you win?
You could just tell them whatever album you wanted. So like when I got HOH, I had like a Punjabi artist because I hadn't listened to Punjabi music in so long.
Yeah.
So I was like listening to that and like showing other people like, oh, like check out this Punjabi artist that I really love.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And is it like they give it to you? What do they give you, like a phone that has it, or do they give you an iPod? Do they give you like how do you listen to it?
Like an iPod? What is that thing?
I don't know. It's like the little
like
boy
the
that's like this big. It's like built like a Lego. Like
it's like a little circle thing.
It's just got the music.
Tile.
Actually, it'd be good for running.
Nano.
So it is an iPod.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like a really little. You can just go forward and back. There's nothing.
I was just wondering what they give you, because I was like, they can't give you like a CD player or like what are they giving you? That's
and you
so
don't
funny.
realize how much you miss music. Well, I didn't until you listen to your own music head of household and you're like, oh my God, this has changed my life. Yeah. I just feel like being removed from the house and I'm at my own little party and I don't give a shit that cameras are on 24/7.
Yeah. Wait, what music did you have on yours?
I chose, like, I wasn't going to, it chose Aussie rock, like Crowded House from, like, it's very much all the Aussie pubs play this music.
Okay.
Like from the 80s, but it's like everyone knows the songs. He got into it.
I loved it. One of my favorite albums.
Really?
Yeah, I would listen to it all the time. I'd be like, I'm just going to hang out in the HOH group and listen to this music.
Like heaps
that's
of
awesome.
harmonies and all that. Then Swedish House Mafia. And
nice.
I didn't get it for the other one because it was a double, but.
Oh, that's right, because one of them you won was a double. Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
How was it to like get into working out? Like I wonder, like, how hard is it to like motivate yourself to do it? And also I kind of heard, I mean, it's like you only have certain equipment that you can use.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough because if we were just inside, then we have like the bikes and not much else.
Stupid, like 2-pound kettlebell.
So no weights.
Like,
wow.
Motivate each other to work out. Like Bowie would ask me all the time, like, hey, okay, are you ready to bike here soon? And I'd be like, oh, okay.
And he takes like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna start like in 10 minutes. I was like, give me 1 hour, and then we would like negotiate our way into like, okay, 40 minutes, and it would be 40 minutes, and I would be like hiding, and she'd be like, Jag.
P.S. She knows this because I do the same thing. I'm like, you want to go to CrossFit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, do I have to? But no, like it was fun working out. Like I enjoyed it when we, like, especially when we were outside and we could work out and stuff. But the other thing is like a lot of folks, like they just spend all their time strategizing, right? So like when we're working out, people are either like, it could paint a target on our backs because they're like, oh, yo, look at them, they're working out, whatever, physical.
I remember
threats.
that when they thought that because you two were working
and
out
I was
together.
Like,
so they told Matt, they went and told Matt, like Felicia was like, you guys are doing your thing because you were working out together.
And we're like, mate, he was inside getting his protein shake. We had already pre-organized to work out and then we would have our HOH wine afterwards. So we were like, come out. And then like we'd pre-organized this whole thing.
It was a whole thing.
Like, I don't know if they show that, but like it was, that was bullshit.
Yeah, it's hard because the live feeds, it's like some of the cameras, you could watch certain ones. Sometimes it would only have one angle. So it's like sometimes I'd miss that you guys were working out, but then it would cut to like just Felicia telling Matt, like, keep an eye on those two. And then it'd be like, you're like, who is she talking about? And then it was.
We're like, la, 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 la.
You guys are literally.
Da, da, da. And then we find out later from Matt, we're like, no. What are you talking about?
We're like, do you want to do bicep curls next?
Yeah.
Like literally that's our conversation. Like we're in an alliance with him. We're not talking about
when
it.
we're working out, all we're talking about is like, do we have to do a core workout today? I'm like, yeah. We're like, how many sets? I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do 4. Can we do 3? We're like, let's just do 1 super set.
And they're like, they're talking shit.
They're like, oh my God, they're strategizing. They're masterminds. And we're like, la 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 la.
Yeah.
I mean, there was the odd occasion, but it was always with Matt involved, but we were strategizing whilst like
when we'd go out there, like we're out there working out and eventually they know like, okay, well me, Matt and Bowie are working out and nobody else is outside. So then we would be like hold weights in our hands and just like turn and look at each other and be like, all right, so who do we want out this week? Like, who is it best for our game? Like, if we win this veto, should we take off this person or that person? And one person would always like keep an eye out at the door.
Yeah.
And the moment they see someone, they'd like just say a word or signal, and we just like start curling.
Watch the door.
And so we were like, fully, like, we were like,
I love it.
Also, one time,
1002.
yeah.
You know?
Because Matt, obviously being deaf, it was a great spot to have a chat in the backyard because the door would close. So if no one was in the backyard, the three of us could talk strategy.
Yeah.
And be like loud about it.
And we could be
Right,
loud.
right.
Yeah.
And with that, and if I was watching the door and I'd be like, guys, don't keep turning around. I'm watching the door. Let's just keep talking strategy.
That's, wow.
Yeah.
Good. But you said it was closed a lot, right? The backyard was closed a lot?
Yeah, towards the end
Yeah.
especially.
That'd be hard then to strategize.
Yeah,
Wait,
it was.
well, also, why? I feel like no one really used the pool or the hot tub. Did you?
we
The
used the
pool, we
pool.
would like lounge in the pool. The hot tub, we just didn't use that often. Like,
I
we used it,
never
the
saw
first
you guys
2
use-
weeks, and after that, we were like,
There was a
never
chlorine
again.
issue one day, and I didn't get back in after that.
Oh, is that why? I remember thinking to myself, I was like, you have nothing to do, but no one's like sitting. I would be like, I'll sit in the pool or the hot tub, and no
Yeah.
one was. I would never see you guys using it.
I don't know why, actually.
I didn't know if there was some
I don't know.
reason, but
no,
you
there
guys,
was no reason. Like, we
No.
would kick it by the pool sometimes.
but you guys were always lounging like on the chairs. It's just like I never saw anyone go in the actual pool or hot tub.
We'd be like, should we have a pool day? And we go, yeah, let's have a pool day. So we all go, we walk 3 meters or whatever that is in America to the pool.
Yeah.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
have a pool day. Like,
It was fun when we did, but a lot of times people would just like tan. So I would
they'd
shade
sleep.
tan.
also, what would happen is those sun lounges you could sleep on without them
Could just
saying
nap.
no. Because
They
we weren't
didn't-
allowed to nap.
No, I knew
Oh,
you weren't
yeah.
allowed to, but you did. You were able to
Well,
outside.
I mean, like, I'm out there tanning, and I would not even tan in the sun, right? I would be like, oh, I'm shade tanning. They're like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, don't worry about it.
But you
Shade
could
tanning.
nap.
You know, I'm like, what are you talking about? And just like put something over my face and like be able to nap.
Because we
Wow.
we
That's
literally,
smart.
he and I never discussed this in the house or after, but I knew, and I'm sure you knew, that when you lay on a banana lounge, do you call them that here? Sun lounge.
What is that?
Oh, okay.
Wait,
when-
what?
banana
A banana lounge?
What?
Okay, when you lay on a sun lounge, that they would never say no napping. So
on
you knew that, right?
on the like actual.
I mean, eventually, like I would push
Yeah.
the limits a lot. Like I would just sit
Which
there
if
and,
you're
like,
on
nap
on the
for so
seat,
long.
if you're on the seat, and napped, they'd be like, no napping.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember that. I actually remember specifically the time that you called out Corey to production because
Oh,
you
that's
guys were
funny.
outside
Yeah.
and
Kept
you
me up all night.
hadn't slept. I guess he kept you up or something. I don't know what he did, but so then you go into your microphone, you're like, production, Corey is sleeping, right? And like, and then you just hear them wake up Corey.
So funny.
And
Just snitching on him.
Totally snitched on
Oh
him.
my god.
he
that's
closed
funny.
his eyes for like 1 second, and he said, "God, man, I closed my eyes for 1 second, and they called me out." And I was like, "Okay."
You're like, oh, that sucks. Yeah.
One thing I want to chat to you about, and we had lots of discussions about this in the house, is obviously you're Punjabi and you're from you have Sikh faith.
Yeah.
Tell us about how that impacted even your choice to go on the game and your decisions in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a big part of why I even wanted to be on Big Brother, one, it's a dream of mine. I love the show. And so I was like super excited about that. And the other aspect is also there had never been a Sikh or Punjabi on the show before. And I think being on that platform and being able to represent my community meant the world to me. And that was the most important part of being on the show. It was never about like, oh, I need to win this whole thing. It was the fact that I can even get on is like such an important piece of
Yeah.
this. And so I remember going in being like, I just don't want to be the first one evicted because then I can't even like share my story or like, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
interact with everyone and be like, yo, look, like I'm Punjabi and Sikh and I'm just as human as everyone else. And I just like share jokes and just laugh and have a good time. And like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And it definitely went into my gameplay too, because I wanted to play the game in a way that represented my community in the best light, you know, and play a game that I would be proud of and my family would be proud of and my community would be proud of. And so I want to play a game with integrity and loyalty. And that's why it was tough, especially in the beginning of the game. Like a lot of folks asked me like, okay, why did you continue to stay loyal to like people that you knew were working with others? And it was because even though I knew that I'd given them my word, that I was going to be loyal to them. So I played really loyal at the beginning and I knew there were some folks that were working with others and I was like, man, this sucks, like being in this alliance because I know it's not the team that I want, but here we are. And I kind of realized like well, if I'm loyal to everyone, I'm loyal to no one. And I was sort of just looking for a time at which like I can start playing my own game and work with people that I want to work with. So there was the eviction that happened. You know, I got evicted, and then there was the big blow up that happened between Corey and Jared.
Yeah,
where we found out about like all of the dirty laundry.
Dude, did you love watching that?
Oh, that was crazy.
Incredible. Incredible. Like I was watching that and I was like, this is perfect.
We were like,
this is perfect.
Oh.
Well, and I just kept being like, why did he put Bowie in this? I remember thinking that at the time.
I was like, why am I in this room? But I am taking notes. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think all of that like definitely were layers of it. Like when that blow up happened and all of this like came out about like people working with all these alliances and not staying loyal. To me, I was like excited. Like Corey came to me and was like the day before that blow up, he was like, hey, by the way, I know about 7 deadly sins. And instead of me being like devastated, like, how do you know about my alliance? I was like, wait, this is good. Like, go find Matt, tell him, like, let's do this thing. Like, you know, let's start working together. And so I was just excited about that. And it definitely, like, as the game went on, I'm sure y'all could see too, like, there were like big decisions I had to make. You know, specific, like final 4 decision, you know, there's Matt and Felicia that are on the block. I'm the sole vote.
Right.
So Bowie's HOH. And so even times like that, like I've been asked about too, which is like, why did you not take Mama Fee? Why didn't you take Felicia? You know, why didn't you just get rid of Matt then if you knew that like he had such a strong shot in competitions and such a strong shot with the jury? Because at that point, everyone was pretty much saying Matt's going to win 7-0.
I mean, we did think that, but we chatted for like 3 or 4 hours in, like, we're in bed side by side, as in separate beds side by side, and we were chatting like in depth about
this decision, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, like, do I make a decision that I think maybe the better game decision, right? Like if people are saying like, yo, you're going to lose next to Matt and everyone's going to lose next to Matt and he's a better competitor and he has a great social game and like all these reasons, like, well, do I just get rid of him right now and that's a smarter choice maybe, quote unquote, or do I like do the thing that I feel is right? You know, something that like I can look back, like we talked about that too. I was like, dude, I just don't know if I make this decision years down the road.
Exactly.
I think I would regret that. I wouldn't be able to hold my head up high. And that's what it came down to. Like, I want to make decisions that I can hold my head up high years down the road when I'm watching it, or my family, or, you know, other Sikhs or Punjabis or whoever that's watching, right? Can see that and be proud of the decisions I made too. So
because even with like, your potential doubts about Matt's loyalty, although like you were pretty sure but you weren't quite sure, you were like, it doesn't matter, he saved me. Yeah. And I owe him. Yeah. And that was the issue. So like then it was like, dude, if you're going to feel bad about this afterwards.
I remember watching, because I remember you kind of coming in to give your final like plea of like why to take you to the final.
Yeah, I thought I better do a pitch.
Yeah, you did a pitch, but then you also like, as you even told me, like you didn't actually look her in the eye and tell her like, I'm taking you. Like at that point, you were still kind of, you just like, you couldn't look her in the eye and say like, I've got you.
Oh, I'm taking you. Yeah. Because like I was trying to be careful with my words too, which like isn't much, but for me, I was like, dude, like I would say something like, well, I want to sit next to you.
I really want to.
I just couldn't like say like, hey, I will be doing this. Because I was like, dude, you know what I mean?
And again, that shows a lot about your character. Like you never lied to her. Like you didn't lie to her face. Like you actually were pretty honest from the things I saw, especially.
No, and I knew this, by the way. I knew even
she knew.
Yeah. Especially being a lawyer, even the use of his wording in the kitchen when he said, I would love to sit next to you or something. I was like, well, he hasn't exactly said. And then
he said, I will. He was like, I'd love to.
I would love to.
And I was like, that's great. But I was like, it's not quite 100% for sure. And then in his speech, I was like, uh-oh, he's definitely referring to that moment when he was very careful with his words.
Yeah. No, I respect that, though. I really respect that.
You absolutely made the right decision
100%.
because, and you thought you were going to lose, right?
Yeah. Did you really? So does that, okay, that brings me to the speech then at the very end.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
let's talk about
it. Let's talk about the speech. I mean, it was a great speech. I'll be honest, for me as a viewer, it took me aback a second because you know, I didn't see that side from you yet. Like kind of that like, you know what, but it made sense. The aggressiveness in it, I think, made sense because, especially hearing you now saying like you thought taking Matt to the end, you were going to lose. You're like, here's the reasons why I should win, because you know, and being aggressive about it. I thought that was the smart thing to do when you brought this person next to you who you've clearly, like you all thought you said was going to win. Instead, it's like you needed to be aggressive. Yeah. Did you plan on being that aggressive with it?
No, I mean, I was just being passionate.
Yeah.
I didn't know it came off as aggressive. Like people have said like, oh, like why were you so hostile? Or like, why were you like, and I was like, I was just being passionate. Like I feel like throughout
you
the
were
game,
desperate.
Yeah. And like throughout the game, I was fighting for my life. You know, people saw that. And this, when I'm sitting there next to Matt, it's no different.
Right.
Because I really did think I was going to lose next to him. I thought he was going to have more jury votes. And so at that point, I knew like, okay, well, now I just made this crazy move and I'm sitting next to Matt. And I feel great about that. And now I need to step up and stand up for myself and answer the questions in a way that I think show my game. And the truth of it is, like, I didn't lie in my speech.
Yeah.
And I said it in a really punchy way. And that was intentional, right? Like, I could have said, like, I evicted you, or like, I helped evict you or whatever. But instead I said, like, I signed your eviction notice. Like, that's there for a reason, right? Like, I wanted to be powerful enough because at the end of the day, it's a speech and it's not supposed to be a lab report. It's supposed to evoke emotion.
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
in my thoughts, what I was thinking is, look, let's say I can get a few votes, right? I was like, all right, I just evicted Bowie, and I was like, oh my God.
He even included that in the speech, and I was like, mate, that was
God.
risky, but I'm still good with it.
I know, I included it. I was like, but I was like, all right, maybe I'll have her vote. Maybe I'll have Cam's vote, because he had told me he would vote for me if I make it to the end, and I think he would respect the gameplay. And I thought maybe I would have Blue's vote, because she had mentioned to me things before where she thought I was playing a great game. After that, I didn't know how Corey in America felt exactly. I didn't know where Sari or Felicia would land, and I wasn't really banking on them to vote for me. And I was like, all right, look, best case scenario right now, I have Cam and Blue and Bowie. And that's 3, and that's not enough. So now I need to like own up to the game I played, and just talk about like how I made all of these moves, and hopefully get one of the other 4 jury members to think about it, where they're like, okay, yeah, I was gonna vote for Matt, but okay, you just...
I mean, it was worth a go.
It was.
Like,
at that point, you might as well, right?
Sense.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah, I mean, you're the underdog.
Exactly.
I thought you were the underdog.
I really thought so. And so at that point, it's like, again, doing what I can look back at and not regret, right? Like if I sat there and I was like, oh yeah, like you should vote for me because I would really want to win and that'd be cool. And also I like you so much. I'm so sorry I evicted you.
Exactly.
It's like, well, no,
trying to save face. Yeah.
I have my personal relationships with you and let's talk about game now. Yeah. Right? So that was me purely talking about game now and saying, this is what I've done on a game level. And I just had to bank on the fact that if they're bitter, they're going to be bitter anyway. I'm never going to get their vote.
Exactly.
If they're bitter, I'm not getting their vote, period. If I suck up to them in my final speech, they're just going to give Matt the vote anyway.
Right.
Because like he has less blood on his hands. So now I had to bank on the fact, like, let's say they're not bitter or not too bitter. I have to lean into the gameplay and just show you what my game was.
Yeah. And it really, like you said, it evoked so much emotion because even like me and Lauren, when we were watching it, I was just like, whoa, like wasn't expecting that. But
plus,
also I was
you
like,
just evicted me, so they weren't happy probably.
You're like,
yeah. But also, again, like I said, I was always rooting for you. If it wasn't Bowie.
Yeah.
Obviously I love Matt as well. But
thank you.
But you know, it was something that I was like, oh my gosh, like it kind of caught me off guard. But like you said, and I didn't mean aggressive in a bad way. Passionate is probably the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't expecting it to be so like, oh my gosh, like you got just direct. I mean, it was a great speech. I can't speak that well. So I'm like, did you already have that planned? Or was it literally just like all emotional? Like, was it all just coming to you?
No, nothing I did was emotional. It was all planned out. Like I knew exactly what I wanted.
You knew
you
had to do.
Like I had a certain amount of time. I knew I was going to be there. I needed to have everything prepared. Mm-hmm. That was one thing I knew going into the game. I was like other people might like be really incredible at this game, but like no one's going to prepare more than me or like work harder than me. Like that's something I just kept reminding myself. I was like, and when it came to the final questions and the speech, like I knew what I wanted to say in my speech, and I would go off to the side or just like sit up at night and think about every possible question somebody could ask me in the final when I'm sitting in final 2 and have an answer to it, because there was no chance I was going to be unprepared and just stand there and be like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. Because by way of background, what happens is they say, right? You might win the last comp, but you might not.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of maybe doing a pitch to the other person to take you, if you've got time, which you don't have time. Then if you do make the final 2, you're going to be asked questions by the jury. So you need to prepare answers for every single possible question that can happen. So we're all 3 of us are doing this in our room. So any footage you see of me in bed is me doing that, not me pondering that I fucking lost the competition. It's like, same for you, right?
Yeah.
And then the next thing is like you're also preparing your speech. Like if you, like when you get through all that. So there's 3 things you've got to remember. No pen and paper.
Yeah.
And you have nowhere, you're with 2 other people in the house. So you can't be like walking around practicing your speech.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically where it's at. It's very difficult. And so that's why it was remarkable, your speech, because it was so confident.
It was
and
so,
like,
there was no there was no nothing. It was just direct, like right to the point.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's
That's
really
hard. I wouldn't be able to do that. There's no way.
Yeah, I mean, it's hardcore stuff.
Thank you.
Also, I want to touch on one other thing. There's been some chatter about like, you know, the haters, whatever. Oh, Jag arrogant the last few weeks of the house. Jag did not think he was going to win. Jag was the underdog. I thought he was the underdog.
Yeah.
So there was no arrogance there. You were just fighting for your life the whole time, as far as I know. I was fighting for my life, and so was Matt.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like the whole time I've talked about that so much. Like I didn't think I was going to win. And I was literally fighting for my life to protect myself and my allies. That was like week after week. There was never a point where I was like, I got this in the bag. It was, I better win this because if I don't, I'm going home.
Right.
And if I don't go home, it's going to be one of my allies that go home.
100%.
So the whole time. And something that I just try to like do throughout my life is just stay humble. Like even with all of this, like I just feel so grateful for this whole opportunity and this experience. And even like being able to play the game, meet so many amazing people, like that's been so awesome. And no part of me has been like, like
people have been saying that. I didn't know that part. People,
it's like
it's haters. We were talking about that earlier. I mean, it's always the haters that are the loudest on the internet. So you're going to see that's going to always be the loudest. That you see, because those are the people that are commenting the most usually.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been lucky. I've gotten a lot of love and support from people.
Yes.
And like that's been the best part of it, you know.
100%.
And what's the response been from the Sikh community with the decisions you made?
Oh, it's been absolutely incredible. I think one of the there's been so many great things after this show, but one of the things that's like really special to me is different like Sikh families or parents reaching out, and they have like videos of like their kids who are like these little like Punjabi Sikh kids for the moment they find out I'm on the show and how excited they get, or the moment they like I win a competition, or the moment I won, they're like jumping up and down, having so much fun. And to me, that's so special because I'm like, it was always for the kids, man. You know what I mean? Like it was always for them, and like the fact that they get to see me on TV, where there's not a lot of folks that look like me that are on TV on a platform like that, and they get to see me and like root for me, and like that's just so special to me.
One last thing, because you told me something in the house. I asked you about the turban, and that's what people don't realize, that the turban is. Can you explain it? Because I don't want to mis-explain it.
Absolutely. So like I tie a turban, and I tie it like every day. And that's a really like, intentional thing that I do, and to me it has a lot of meaning, and I think it's like really beautiful. Where as Sikhs, we're known as saint warriors. That's like the translation from Punjabi to English is like saint warriors or peaceful warriors. So that what that means is the first part of that is peaceful. So in every situation, we're going to look for peace and happiness and spread joy and look for harmony. And if we can't attain that, second part is warrior, which means we're going to stand up for what's right. We're going to stand up for others that need help. And the turban is actually like a beacon of hope, right? So what that means is if something is going wrong anywhere, I'm wearing this turban, you should be able to find someone that wears a turban. I'm going to step up and I'm going to help every time.
How amazing
is that? That's what that means to me. Wow. Obviously, it's been like misconstrued and not a lot of folks know about that, but I think it's a really powerful message. It's supposed to be a beacon of hope, and that's why I tie my turban every day. That's like a big reason. And so like it shapes me and like who I am today. And so that's been something that has been cool, just like being on the show too, right? Like having that platform and to share who I am, what my faith is, what my culture is, and just like share all of that. And hopefully people have been able to like connect with me or my journey or learn about things that like maybe they haven't learned about before, or maybe it starts conversations, right? Sometimes it's awkward to even, like, maybe you do have a Punjabi or Sikh friend, but it's awkward because you don't want to ask about, like, hey, why do you wear that turban? Because you're afraid that that's like a weird question to ask. But hopefully it's been like the start to conversations to have those, because I think it's important and I don't think it's talked about enough. But yeah.
Absolutely. I feel like you just said, the biggest thing, and especially something that you and I have focused on with this show specifically, is kind of just the representation.
Yeah,
Totally.
If representation is lacking in any facet of life, I just feel like it's so important. Like, and I just love that that's like kind of your mission. You were like, I don't care about the game. I just want to be representation for my community and for my faith. And I think you are the perfect example of that. So I'm just so happy that you were here on the show, because you are just so wonderful. And again, I'm so happy that you won. If it wasn't Bowie, I want it to be you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You're one of our babes.
You're one of the babes behind the beats.
Thank you. I'm honored to be one of the babes.
Amazing. Well, everyone, if you haven't already, go follow Jag. It's the Jag Bains on social media. You're on all platforms. You're doing a bunch of different things. You can say if there's anything else that you really want to focus on as far as social media. Is there certain platforms?
What's your TikTok?
My TikTok is the Jag Bains. Everything is the Jag Bains. So
Easy.
follow me on that. I'm on TikTok a lot now, which has been really fun, like going live and just interacting with all my like supporters, which has been amazing.
TikTok live every day, right?
I am. So I'll be TikTok live every day. Come hang out with me. I have such a good time chatting with everyone. So please follow me.
Also,
Love
he's
y'all.
not bad on the ukulele.
Oh, a uke player over here. Okay.
Yeah, so I've always loved music. I've always loved singing. I play guitar as well, and the ukulele was the first instrument I've ever learned. And so, I'm looking into that. Like, obviously, I have a platform now after the show, and a lot of people are showing me love and support. So, looking into the future and like
you need to do
exciting
some
things coming
covers,
up.
right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the future holds. So maybe some covers, maybe some songs. So stay tuned.
Oh my God.
He can actually sing. I was like in the house going, he's a secret. Like, you're an actual professional singer, I can tell.
Oh my God.
And then I get out and I'm like, oh no, he's not, but he can sing.
Oh my God. Okay, well,
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to
You're
hear
so
this.
sweet, Bowie.
Oh my God. I'm getting on all your TikTok lives now, so I can see
thank
this. Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Jag, again for being here.
Thanks for
And
having me.
Bowie, as usual, always good hanging with you.
So good hanging with you, Jess Bowen. Can't wait to chat with you next week. And thanks for everyone for listening. Go follow us on Babes Behind the Beats.